I absolutely just continue to be amazed by the talent of the shoulder surgeons that we're seeing here at Shoulder 360. Mike O'Brien, again, one of the people, when he gets on the podium, I am listening. He's one of my top go-to people. He is just so kind. He's a full professor at Tulane. We have some shared history as far as our training is concerned. Literally, education is so paramount to him. His mentorship is so important to him. We also talk about the biology of rotator cuff healing. And of course, Tulane, the Green Wave, winning the Cotton Bowl against USC, which is just crazy good. You're going to love this episode. Dr. Sigman, hashtag follow the fro.
From Medical Media, this is The Ortho Show.
Hello world, Dr. Scott Sigman, your favorite opioid-sparing orthopedic surgeon, here for another episode of the Ortho Show podcast. Yes, we are still live at Shoulder 360 here in Miami with some of the world's most amazing shoulder surgeons. And once again, we are not going to be let down. We have Mike O'Brien, who's an orthopedic surgeon, specializes in sports medicine and shoulder. He is a full professor of orthopedics at Tulane. And when I think of some of the really important people in my life that I respect when they talk and it comes to shoulder, Mike O'Brien is at the top of the list. We're so happy to have you.
That is very kind. I'm super excited to be here. It's my first one with you. I really thought you were going to say we've interviewed a bunch of amazing surgeons and Mike.
Oh, no, come on, dude. You're on that podium and everybody's just looking straight up and wanting to get every syllable if they can. So we always start these shows at the beginning, sort of, where it started for you, where you were born. Tell us about your family. Were there other doctors in the family, that sort of thing?
Yep. So I grew up in Rochester, Minnesota, youngest of four. I was a mistake, so I came along 5 years after the other three. No one in my family was in medicine, so in Rochester, it's either the Mayo Clinic or IBM. So my dad was a programmer at IBM for 30 years, so nobody at the Mayo Clinic. Then I went on to college at Notre Dame, med school in Tulane, met my wife, future wife, eventually, did residency at University of Maryland, shoulder and elbow fellowship at Rothman in Philly, and then back down to Tulane in 2009. Yeah. So that's been my first and only job. So we moved back because my wife from the area had zero desire to live in Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, God bless. I mean, you're the first person I've ever met that actually was born in Rochester, Minnesota. Everybody moves there, and then they can't wait to get out of there. Maybe Joaquin Sanchez Sotelo, he loves it there. He tells his great story. But
he looks like a native Minnesotan.
Yeah, not exactly. No, we love him. He's getting a lot of name dropping today, too. We love our shout-outs.
That's good.
But yeah, Rochester, Minnesota, it is what it is, right? And being able to get out and explore, going to Notre Dame had to have been a tremendous accomplishment. I mean, it's such a difficult college to get into.
It was great.
Amazing experience, I'm sure.
Very fortunate. So awesome friends, really good friends that keep in touch with today. So that was great. And grew up Irish Catholic. So my dad and my brother watched Notre Dame football every Saturday. So I'd always wanted to go there and then was fortunate to get in. So.
Yeah, and there was no Rudy thing. You weren't.
There was not. No. I tried. Like I went to the walk-on soccer tryouts because I played soccer in high school. And they had a scrimmage for 3 hours. We had to run 2 miles in under 12 minutes and then a 3-hour scrimmage. And at the end, the coach comes out and he goes, "Thanks everybody for coming out. Didn't really see it today. Have a nice day."
So that was about it. That was it. I played lacrosse at Tufts, and it's a funny joke. There were 3 kids from my high school. We were all Jewish, and at the end of my junior year, I got the MUJP award, which was the most useless Jewish player award for Tufts lacrosse. But no, it's
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's kind of a big deal. It stuck around to this.
Trophy, no trophies.
Participation. It stuck around in my brain for all this time. And then Tulane, for what a stark difference it is when you're going from Rochester, Minnesota to South Bend, Indiana, now to New Orleans. Were you able to stay focused in that medical school?
Yeah, but it was an adjustment. And so moving down there in June, I guess, when med school started, and it's hot and it's humid And then the bars are open 24/7, so we probably utilized the social scene in New Orleans more than we should, but we got through it, so it was fun.
No, I think once you get down there for a little while, you get used to the gravity pulling you down, and you figure it out for
and
sure.
you know, there's more festivals than like days of the year.
There are tremendous. I know, all the time.
It's great,
crazy. Like everything you could possibly think
everything
of.
you
They
can
have a
imagine.
festival.
Yeah, Po' Boy Festival, French Quarter Festival. Obviously, the big ones, Jazz Fest and Mardi Gras. But it's every weekend there's something.
No, I love it.
Amazing music, amazing food. So it was an easy choice to eventually go back to New Orleans because we loved it so much. And we were in Baltimore when Hurricane Katrina hit.
Yeah.
So we missed all the bad stuff in the Northeast. So when we moved back in 2009, the city was already on track and rebuilding.
Yeah, I mean, that was Buddy told the story. I mean, of him, his taking the job.
Isn't that amazing?
Going to Katrina with his wife and then
Yeah.
deciding that they needed to go there for the people. I mean, just a remarkable story.
Remarkable. He's very spiritual. And he said he really felt when they were there like it was a calling.
Yeah.
Like, honey, we have to do this.
Yeah.
Because his wife, Amy, I think on the trip was like, well, that was nice. Let's go back home. And he decided to make the
figured
journey.
it out. No,
and he probably told you his plan was to come for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now 18 years later,
Well, he's
there
got
in
amazing
chairs.
partners and built an amazing program, and we're going to talk some more about that. So we share a little bit. Also, University of Maryland for your residency. I was at University of Maryland for medical school.
That's awesome.
From 1990 to 95.
Okay.
So we have some shared history there. I'm
right.
thinking Andy Burgess comes to mind,
Yep.
Attila Polka at the Trauma Center. I remember I was always like so proud to wear my pink scrubs as I walked through the hospital, right?
And even in the city, it's like a badge of honor, right?
Exactly.
Like you're at the grocery store and you see pink scrubs and it's like shock trauma.
Exactly. I'll buy you coffee for
exactly.
you. Really
right.
cool stuff. But
Oh, and I know, like, especially the hospital workers, whenever they would get pulled over for speeding or whatever, they would keep those pink scrubs on because they would tell the police, they're like,
I'm taking care of you.
I'm taking care of you. I'm on my way to shock trauma. And they're
Exactly.
like, drive slower.
Exactly. It's limb threatening. It's not life threatening. But
That's right.
all right. So, but then I'm also thinking of Murthy. Was there a crossover there at the time?
So Anand was really like my shoulder mentor all through residency.
Yeah,
'Cause
good.
starting, I was interested in sports medicine and then loved the shoulder stuff, loved the variety. But he's such a good teacher that my whole residency, one resident per year went into shoulder.
Yeah.
So, and it was Caroline Chablis, Derek Cuff, Jason Stein, me, Brian Butler, and like it just kept going.
Great names.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. I don't know what it is about shoulder, and I get, Lindsay and Carly are here too. Just some of the nicest people with like the greatest stories, right? I mean, it's really
Shout out
remarkable.
Lindsay and Carly.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
But, so again, that shared, history there for University of Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland was great. So,
Great-
and
great breeding ground
residence
for
is always
training.
tough, but right, like great mentors, always had your back. High standard, but if you screwed up, they had your back, and then you'd hear about it later.
Yeah.
But Anand Murthy, great mentor, really close friend to this day.
He's just another sweetheart. Just
He's great.
so witty and so, just has such great experience over decades at this point, and he's always willing to share it in a fun and entertaining way for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, so now talk to us about your fellowship. So I'm a little confused on this one. The Jefferson Health, they changed the names of the hospitals in Philadelphia every 12 days.
Right, exactly.
So what is this?
So when I was fourth year resident, I matched into shoulder and elbow at Penn with Jerry Williamson, Matt Ramsey, and Charlie Getz.
Sure.
During my fifth year of residency, they left Penn to join Rothman.
Okay.
So then they called us and they said, well, hey, you can either stay at Penn or you can come with us to Jefferson. And we're like, well, of course, we're coming with you.
Sure.
So they combined those two fellowships. So Rothman, technically we were Thomas Jefferson Fellows, but we worked with the Rothman
because that was the
group.
medical school where they had their academic affiliations.
Correct.
But yet Rothman really is a private practice group, one of the
That's
earliest private-demic type models.
Absolutely.
that were out there.
Yeah, like Midwest Orthopedics at Rush.
Exactly.
So Rothman is private practice, but they do all of the orthopedic services at Thomas Jefferson Hospital.
Yeah.
So that was a little confusing to me too. So, and now even when I listed, I'm a Thomas Jefferson Fellow, but I always say
You're really a
Rothman Fellow at Jefferson.
Yeah, exactly. Now,
And then it was great because then Jerry Williams, Matt Ramsey, Charlie Getz joined John Fenlon, Mark Lazarus, and Barb Friedman.
Sure.
So we had 4 fellows with 6 attendings.
Awesome.
John Fenlon, God rest his soul, did all open surgery. So we saw open Bankarts, open rotator cuffs, Lazarus was a whiz with the scope. Jerry Williams really taught us how to do a good total shoulder. Matt Ramsey taught us all elbow surgery.
What a great
Getz did
fellowship.
all the fractures, so it was amazing.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that's really getting lost, in our younger generation at this point, because everything truly has moved. Excuse me, mostly arthroscopic, the open surgical interventions other than fractures or for shoulder replacements have really sort of gone away. So what an amazing opportunity to learn those, and now you still know them. I'm sure that you're still schooling your current residents and folks.
And I'll do a couple open Bankarts a year, either for maybe a bony Bankart or in a contact athlete or a failed scope. And the residents don't see it anymore.
Right.
So they don't know how to do an open Bankart. So they're always blown away when they see it.
Sounds crazy,
so it's
right?
fun. It is crazy, right?
Like we're so used to, it's the weirdest thing, right? Arthroscopic surgeries, you're watching on this two-dimensional screen.
Right,
You're
trying
not
to
even
figure out where to
looking
get
at the
that. I
patient.
know.
And your feet are doing this, your hands are doing this. And I always say, it's like, kids, if your parents are giving you a hard time about, too much screen time, you tell them I'm practicing to be a surgeon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think that's,
right?
the hand-eye coordination.
I think there was
sure.
a study like a decade ago, right, that showed like if you grew up playing video games, you were a better arthroscopist. And
Exactly.
one of our residents said once, "I can't get my hands to work looking at the screen," and I was like, "Well, you got to figure that out."
Well, you need to find a different job, dude.
Right.
That's what you got to do.
Let's go to the lab and practice.
I mean,
Right.
I think AI is going to come in. I think we're going to get, we're getting augmented reality now, artificial reality. I think there's going to be a period of time where we're literally putting on some glasses and looking at this whole thing now three-dimensionally. Would it be?
I think so too.
Quite fascinating. And
Yeah,
I think
and
it's coming.
I think so too. With arthroplasty, I've even seen it for fractures. Where you can take your pre-op CT scan and then you can overlay that on the side. So as you're putting your fracture back together, if you're missing a piece, you can look at your CT scans. Oh, that fragment's over here.
And move it over.
It's
it's really going to be
it's
a
gonna
big
be phenomenal.
difference. I completely agree for sure.
I think that's coming.
So one of the things that you and I sort of share is our belief in the idea of, orthobiologics, stimulation for rotator cuff surgery in particular. So why don't you share a little bit about your experience as to why you feel augmenting a rotator cuff repair at this point is something that you're confident with?
And that's how we kind of first met, right?
Exactly.
Back in the day.
Exactly.
So I feel like, most small rotator cuff tears, if they're a centimeter, they're probably going to heal no matter what we do. The bigger tears have such a higher failure rate, and it's, as you know, multiple reasons. Lack of blood supply, tendon thickness, maybe medical comorbidities. And our repair techniques are pretty good of putting the tendon back down, but obviously we haven't mastered getting it to heal. So I really think that biologics is very important to help get those tendons to heal. And so whether it's something injectable, some sort of scaffold you're putting above the repair, between the tendon and the bone, I think that's really going to be kind of the explosion that we're seeing now, and we're going to see keep going into the future.
Yeah.
And it probably helps with pain too. I really anecdotally.
We see that.
Yeah.
We all talk about it. The ones that use, we're talking obviously about the Regenerative implant from Smith & Nephew.
Yes.
And it's been remarkable because that's always been one of my passions is opioid, reduction in surgery.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter who you talk to, but they all say the same thing. There's something about it where
we tried to study it and we couldn't really tease it out in the data.
Yeah.
But just anecdotally, they say they have less pain, and they'll even be like, well, I had this shoulder done 5 years ago. This one hurt way less.
Yeah.
And maybe the only difference was adding Regenitin.
Exactly. Something
Hashtag
about it.
Regenitin.
There you go. Hashtag follow the pro.
Hashtag follow the
follow the
pro.
O'Brien. We got all the hashtags going on here. I love it. But no, so that's wonderful. And I'm, right there with you. There's actually a paper that's potentially coming out of Spain, and we're all sort of waiting for the final report on that, which really, if you think about, I think about the rotten eggs that were thrown at me in cages when I would start really talking about this early on.
I believe it.
What is this? Why are you using it? There's no science behind it. But now it looks like the data really may prove out that these types of biologic augmentations really do enhance rotator cuff.
I think so, because that study, Miguel Ruiz-Iban, he's doing prospective randomized, same patient, same tear. They all get double row, half get Regenitin or a bioinductive implant and half don't. And I know that his 1 year data showed a re-tear rate of like 24% versus 3%?
3%.
4%?
And the ones augmented had
correct
a 3% re-tear rate, which is off the charts,
off
crazy.
the charts.
Right?
Yeah.
We've never seen that before.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting, sort of.
And I think his 2 year data should be complete, so we should be seeing that.
Yeah, I know it got leaked. Some people were pissed off that the study got leaked early before the 2 year data, but I still think that it'll be, very exciting to see that. Every once in a while, these things come out which just blow us away. I mean, I had Steve Snyder on, and we were talking about
Legend
Katori Yamagata, who I don't know if you were there at Anna, it was like 3 years ago. He did this randomized control trial, single row versus double row, and he was the sole surgeon that did it. Used the Snyder technique, the SCOE technique versus a transosseous equivalent, and the results were equivalent. And that at every conference that we went to for 10 years before that, it was always the debate, right? Yeah. And this kid put the debate out the door and slam dunked it for us, and now we know.
Yep.
All on his own.
Equivalent.
Exactly.
So do what you want.
Yeah, so cool that that's there. One of the other things that you have great passion in, which I share with you as well, is education, right? You're at an academic center. Congratulations on your full professorship, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
believe that was August of 21.
It was.
Yeah, we do our research here.
I know.
Thanks, Scarlett, for doing the research for us. And then from there, basically, you're at the OLC every other weekend, which we love. They're so great there, right? Ellen and the girls, they just do an amazing job there. I love that place.
They do.
And, so obviously that's a real big deal for you. So tell us about why education and being able to pass off all that history of things that you've learned to others is so important.
Yeah, and I think starting out, it was just I liked the idea of kind of training the next generation, and that has become so rewarding because you get to know these young surgeons. You see them kind of starting out and progressing, and then keeping in touch with them over the years.
Yeah.
And forming those relationships and seeing them grow and progress. And then when they call, and sometimes you'll hear like the anesthesia machine beeping in the background, and they're calling from the OR. You're like, "Hey, Zach, what's up?" But they'll call and they'll want to run a case by you. And I just took over as residency program director about a year ago, so that's been exciting.
Yeah.
And so it really helps me get to know them better, kind of individually, see how I can help them navigate residency, and then really just kind of succeed and see where they want to go and what they want to turn their lives into. So it's a lot of fun.
It's great. I mean, we've all had so many mentors in our life that get us to this moment, and it's an obligation, to be able to share what you've learned over decades and pass it on to the next generation. So it's a privilege, and I really respect you for your passion for that and leadership in that professional education.
Thank you. Well, likewise. I mean, your passion for education is why we're here.
Yeah,
so,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, it's we just had that amazing picture, right? Of I don't know, there must have been 20 of us in here. Ortho Show alums, some of the greatest docs from all over.
Yep.
It was what a wonderful moment in pictures. Before we go, we got to give a little shout out to the Green Wave here.
Oh,
Tulane
man.
football, dude. Where did that come from? Are you kidding me? Beating USC in the Cotton Bowl?
What a magical season, and we at Tulane for years have had most of our seasons are just above 500. We're 6-6, 7-5, maybe 8-4. It was the exact same team from 1 year prior. Same team. And 1 year prior, we went 2-10. And some of that was they were disrupted by Hurricane Ida. And so right at the beginning of the season, Hurricane Ida hits, the city shuts down. They go to Birmingham. The football team was housed out of Birmingham for 4 weeks. And that really kind of helped them bond, but we couldn't really get things cooking. So then this year, they start winning. We go on the road to Kansas State, and we just felt different this year.
Sure.
So we beat K-State on the road, and then it just keeps rolling.
Yeah.
And we got into conference play and lost to Central Florida, but then faced Central Florida in the AAC championship game, and we just knew we were going to win that game. We had a veteran quarterback. We had an outstanding tailback, Tyjae Spears, who's going to get drafted. And then two outstanding middle linebackers, which were a middle linebacker, outside linebacker. They're really the heart and soul of the team. And so getting to Dallas, we were just amazed. Tulane's in the Cotton Bowl. We hadn't been in a bowl that big since
Forget
like
about it.
1940,
Everybody's talking
right?
about it. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, we had more fans than USC, which was exciting.
Gettleman was on the sideline.
Oh, that's right. Exactly.
His daughter goes to school there as well.
Exactly.
You should have called him down for
Rick
a consult.
Ryu was there.
Oh,
and
I love it.
Seth Gamrant was the USC team doc, so he was there. And kind of going into the game, you're like, okay, let's just keep this close and keep this competitive. And then every blow that they hit us, we bounced back. And as the game is going on, you're like, we're still in this thing. But the last 5 minutes was amazing. Because, we're down by 15. We get a touchdown, safety touchdown to win the game in the last minute. And it was unbelievable.
Something you
so
never
much fun.
forget.
Never
in your
forget.
lifetime.
Never forget.
And the rings are on order at this point,
They
I'm
are,
assuming?
yeah.
I love
so
it.
we got the AAC championship ring. They're ridiculous. They're huge.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Cotton Bowl ring is coming. But it was such a magical season. It was so much fun to be a part
You're
of.
going to have to send us a picture so we can post it on the
Oh,
Ortho
for
Show
sure. I will.
website so we can close on that for
Yes.
sure.
Follow the
I
fro.
love it. I love it. Listen, Mike, this is awesome. This is
great. Thanks so
Can't
much.
thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule here at Shoulder 360. Just love everything that you do. You're teaching. You're a thought leader. We're listening to you. You're an exquisite surgeon, and we just can't thank you enough for being here today.
It's very kind. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you so much. Follow the fro.
Oh, I love it. This is Dr. Scott Sigman. #FollowTheFro, host of the Ortho Show. Till next time.